Victor, the floor is yours.
Yes, okay. So, hi to all. Thank you very much for connecting to this webinar on how to monetize your data in Open Data Marketplace, hosted by Cross-CPP, and thanks to BDV and BDV for this opportunity to show you in a live demo which are the functionalities of Cross-CPP integrated data platform, okay, data marketplace, sorry. So I will present myself briefly. I am Victor Corral. I am working as a project manager within the Atos Research and Innovation Department. So my main duties are dealing with a project coordinator and project management of A2020 projects. So basically, this is my main duties within Atos. And then after this short presentation, I'm sorry, and my role in the project is leading with the business model, exploitation, and communication dissemination. Okay, so I am leading this work package, and I am here to represent CEST. Okay, so now after this short presentation, I will leave the floor to Christian. Okay, Christian Wolf, who is our project coordinator, and I will give you the role. Okay, present.
Thank you very much, Victor, for a short introduction.
Thank you, Chris.
So I hope you can see my screen now. So
yes, we can see you.
Presented already by the Victor, main objective of today webinar is just to show our full prototype results, which we have achieved in scope of Cross-CPP project. So project started 2.5 years ago. So we just have finalized our full prototypes and would like to use then also the possibility to show a bit to the outside, to the public, what we have achieved so far. So, but maybe before we would like to go a bit more deeper into the presentation of our Cross-CPP marketplace and Toolbox, showing what we have achieved. There was the idea to give just a very, very brief overview on the whole project so that you get at least understanding where the project is dealing with and who are partners of the project and so on. So as you can see here on the slide, we have 8 partners involved in Cross-CPP. So it's a composition of research organizations. So it's coordinated by ATB. So it's a research organization located in Germany, in Bremen. So, and then we have there 2 partners, big partners, responsible for two big roles here for the provisioning of data coming from cyber physical systems. That's Volkswagen as well as Siemens. And then we have Atos as a software house, Meteorologic as a service provider, developing services out of this data, as well as the Open Group, which is responsible more or less for security and privacy issues allocated with the whole system solution. And then we have the UPM, the University from Madrid, and also Brunel University, which have core competences here in developing of data analytics tools. So, but however, what is key goal of the project? What is where is Cross-CPP about? So I hope you have heard a bit about the project, or at least had time to have a look on our webpage, so that you know a bit what we are dealing with. So key idea here is that we would like to create a solution at the end, which will make for the world, especially for service providers, much more easier to have access to data coming from cyber physical system, meaning to data coming from IoT devices like vehicles or from smart home applications which you have installed. So therefore we have exactly also partners like Siemens and Volkswagen here on board, because you have to install also some solutions on their side. So that there's a big value behind this data. I think we do not have to talk about that. That's clear. That's of high interest for a lot of people in the world, a lot of companies, a lot of service providers, to have access to all the sensor information which is available, and then using this information also to increase the quality of their existing services, but also to build a lot of new services out of that. So that's more or less the key idea of the project, yes, to make this access to this information much more easier. But what's more important here is that we did not start from the scratch. So that's not that we have to reinvent the whole wheel. So because that's more or less, our Cross-CPP is a follow-on project of Automat project, which we had in the past. A lot of partners were also involved in Automat, or also here in Cross-CPP, like Athos. So Athos was also an Automat already, responsible for development of the marketplace, and overtook here also the responsibility to work further on in this direction. So Automat was allocated, or was directed, just on making the data accessible coming from vehicles. So it was just restricted to data from vehicle platforms. But however, it was also already a project with what or there has not the goal to came up with some brand specific solution. This is just valid for one company like Volkswagen or so on, so that we have at the end solutions which are really open for the integration of information coming from different brands. So therefore Automat was also driven by 3 car makers. So Volkswagen coordinated the Automat project together with ATB, and then also Renault and Fiat. So this was then also at the end the idea after finishing Automat project to set up Cross-CPP, because we identified a lot of further needs during this project. One of these needs was, for example, to extend the whole solution so that we have access not just to vehicle data, so that we can provide via such a marketplace platform also data coming from other sectors, like these data coming here from Siemens, so from smart home appliance, but also for a lot of other sectors. So therefore, Cross-CPP, we worked a lot on the solution, on the data model at the end, which is open also for the integration of data coming from a lot of different sectors, and also providing more support functionalities than for service providers who would like to use this data to create service out of that. So that's meaning by the analytic toolbox, which is also one of the big solution and one of big result of Cross-CPP project. And there is also a lot of other stuff ongoing. So it's not just that we work in Automat and Cross-CPP. We have also further projects like Smash It or E3 market, where we also have addressed also some other issues related to the marketplaces and which are needed to be implemented. So when we look at the whole idea and what we did during project, so it's not just a research-driven project. That's more or less a project that is really driven by the industrial needs and by the key stakeholders of such a marketplace solutions. Meaning we have to convince at the end more or less 3 stakeholders. One are for sure the data owners, for example, vehicle owners or building owners, so that they have trust in such a system solution, that they are willing to provide the information there for third parties, so that they can build new value out of that. And but also we have to come up with a solution that would make it much more easier for the people who are interested in getting this information. So the data customers, so service providers who would like to have access to this information, and also to data providers like Volkswagen, Siemens, who at the end also have to support such a solution, so that they also have to implement some stuff inside of their companies, enabling their platforms to transfer the data to such a marketplace solution at the end. So when you look for such a marketplace has to do in the scope of Cross-CPP, what we have in mind here is for sure at first that we have to provide functionalities for data discovery and data provision for service provider, also to handle all the contract and billing stuff together with them, and provision of the information. So all this sounds at the end very easily, but at the end I must say it's not easy. There's a lot of work behind, and we have also a lot of problems where we have to face this. So meaning that it is not so easy to implement such a solution, and that we have also a lot of problems when you look what is existing currently in the market, and what are especially the problems for service provider who are interested in getting such data to build services out of that. So when you look what the current situation is for service providers, that for the moment they do not have access at all to information because it's not existing, or it's just very limited set of information available. And on the other side, it's also very problematic for service providers from this point of view, that the different solutions are mostly proprietary, OEM specific solution, which will come up with a lot of different data formats and different interfaces. So, and if you as a service provider have to serve a lot of different interfaces, and you have to connect your own system to different platforms, it will cause a lot of work and will make at the end the whole solution not economically. So that's meaning that we have a lot of precondition missing for the moment, which needs to be somehow fulfilled, so that we have at the end a solution which will bring benefits for all at the end in the whole value chain. So therefore, that's exactly the idea where we try to work in the scope of Cross-CPP on here, is that we came up at the end with a brand independent solution. So meaning that it's not a marketplace for a specific data provider, so like Volkswagen or Siemens. So that's an open solution where you can integrate information from a lot of different data sources and different systems, and that we can offer there also a solution where we have then just a single point of access. So where this, as a service provider, it's of very high activeness at the end. If you have just one point where you have connect your system with, and you can get data from different system and everything, it's in the same format. So therefore, we also worked on this CIDM, this format where we have to bring all the data coming from different sources in the same style. So by this, at the end, a win-win solution for all of the partners connected to such a solution. So if you have a look on the whole system, so I will try to keep it very short here. You can see the system is built of three different pillars. So on the left side, we have the data provider side, where we have to see that we also have to implement some technology solutions inside, for example, vehicle or houses, so that they are able to gather information. Well, mostly this is already built up by the data providers, so they had some proprietary solution, but what it needs, at least is needed, that we have to transfer their proprietary data format in the standard format, the CIDM format, which we have developed in the scope here of Cross-CPP, and then storing everything in the middle sector here in a cloud storage. And that's exactly where we talk today about in the webinar, and then providing access to the information via data marketplaces, and also providing some tools where service provider from the outside world also can have access to, so that they can already do some analytics on the data in the data marketplace. So I would like to try to keep this short, because we can talk about the slide for 1 hour, but we do not have the time. Here on the right side, we also can show what are the key results of the project. For sure, it's the CIDM, this standard data model, which we have developed in the scope of Cross-CPP, as well as the marketplace, a toolbox, but also services which were created based on the data which are in the marketplace. So this is just an overview of all the stakeholders mapped on the whole architecture here. So meaning that we have the CPP manufacturer for sure, which we have to take care of. We have cloud storage provider, we have marketplace operator, we have the owner of the IoT devices, and then service providers. So just summarizing everything very shortly, we can say at the end that the whole need of the system, the whole design and functionality which we have implemented is driven by really needs of our service providers and data owners and data providers. So that's nothing which we divided from our RTD perspectives. That's something which really comes from the needs from the market. The solution at the end is an open solution, which is really brand independent, so open for the integration of information from really, really different sectors. And by this is also very attractive at the end for service providers, because it's a solution which will not provide information just from one brand or from one sector, so that it's a marketplace where you can find an at the end solution from different sectors and brands. And by this, you will have also the possibility to link all the data, and yes, have also a lot of more possibility to build new services out of that. What else? It's so important that we also have to implement, that we also have implemented solutions here for the owner, the data owner, so that the data owner is also always under control on where is using his information for what, so that no one can use information which data owner has stored in the cloud storage when the data owner hasn't agreed on that. So that's also, I think, very, very important issue. Otherwise, you cannot convince them to provide the information at all to such a system. So, and by this, we will hopefully also to increase the willingness of all stakeholders here to take part in such a system solution and to support such a system solution at the end. So that's a very brief and very short overview on the whole system solution. So for the ongoing webinar, it's planned now to have a more deeper view on the solutions developed in the scope of the project, especially on the marketplace and the toolbox, which then is the central element and the central contact for our key stakeholders here, meaning for data owners, but especially for service provider who would like to get access to the information. So I would like to forward them to you, Victor, so that you can.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Christian. Nice.
Second, please. So.
Okay. So. Now I think you can see the screen. Okay. Yes. So now we are going to jump into the Agora MVP live demo. Okay. So thank you very much, Christian, for the presentation on how many opportunities can arise from the data that has been collected from different CPPs, from different data lakes. Okay. So now we are going to explain a little bit more about the functional software that we have developed. Okay, so as already Christian mentioned, this story have started some years ago. Initially in 2015, we have kicked off with Automa, with 3B OEMs. So we have collaborated with them and we have developed, as we call, the vehicle build data marketplace. But then we see the opportunity behind these cross-data sector or monetization opportunities. And then we jump into developing a cross-sectorial marketplace and brand independent to any provider or manufacturer. Okay, so now in 2018, we kick off with Cross-CPP. Then in 2019, between 2019 and 2020, we have the Cross-CPP full prototype. Okay, so this is what we also have to incorporate now a marketing, and we would like to give a brand to this marketplace, and we call as Agora. Okay, so also this is an important point that Agora has been selected under Atos Research and Innovation as a shuttle. So the company is going to invest in this solution, trying to open up and to address data monetization barriers to different providers and to different consumers. Okay, so as you can see, this is the story and the timeline that we have behind, and you can see that we have faced many milestones, and we have learned much about this data ecosystem sharing, these data sharing ecosystems. So we are going to jump really in what we offer. Okay, what is really Agora? What is really Cross-CPP data marketplace? Is what we really would like to express is that we are a brand independent. Okay, we are not dealing with any specific vertical provider. We are open to any cross-sectorial provider interested in monetizing this data lakes or this industrial data platform that they have in place. And then we also help these data consumers through our API-based mechanisms where they can unlock these new data-driven services using these harmonized industrial data sets that we are going to explain later on what is this harmonized. This is called also common industrial data model. But basically, what we concentrate our features in 5 main features, which is the catalog that we have developed within the common industrial data model. That has been an effort within many industrial partners trying to harmonize the data that we have been sharing with others, with externals also. Then we have the offer, the concept of how this solution is governed, okay, in the sense of how you can subscribe and how you can consume this data offered by data owners. And then we have the contract in place. When we accept this offer and we accept the condition that the offer indicates, then we start a contract. We take up a contract in place. Then we can exchange, and then we will say how the data is collected and how you can see in the front end of the application. And then finally, you can develop new products and services based on these insights, gain it with the data collected from this CPP, from these cross-sectorial CPPs. Okay. So also this is almost, which is the data journey that we will follow. Okay, we are going to concentrate in the middle, which is the Agora, which is the Cross-CPP data marketplace, and then we are going to jump into the more right side of the presentation. Okay, but initially we start with that we have vehicles, we have buildings, and then as Christian said, they have the proprietary backends. With the proprietary backends, we don't deal anything with that; they develop by themselves. But then what we do is try to we offer an open API specification to connect to this cloud storage. This cloud storage is offered by Atos, but we in the business model and the exploitation side, we open this cloud storage to any cloud storage provider interested, and also which are partner of this data provider, which are dealing with their platforms. Okay, for example, they can be any other big famous provider there, okay, in the cloud storage. But in this project, we offer the cloud storage services. So then this information is going to be sent to this cloud storage. So data provider has to sign up there and has to give the permission to the marketplace to have the written permission and the read permission to try to index this data. Okay, so then we jump into the marketplace. We basically in the marketplace we don't host any data. Okay, we don't store any data. What we do is we index this data from the cloud storage of the data providers, and then we put at the disposal of interested service provider trying to, and then we only deal with indexing the metadata. We don't deal with a direct storage of the data inside of the marketplace. So this is a very important point for GDPR.
Victor, if I may, we only see your front page of the website. We don't see the slides because you're probably they're in another screen. Now it's okay.
Sorry, so I missed somehow.
No, don't worry. We follow your storyline. Anyway.
Okay. Okay. So sorry, okay. So basically, this is what I try to explain. We have the cloud storage there. We have the data providers in this side, in the left side. Then we have the cloud storage also in the left side, and then we have the Cross-CPP in the middle. And then, okay. So then we are going to jump into what type of sources and data we have inside of the marketplace. So basically, this is the common industrial data model that I'm going to explain very briefly, and then we can see online. Okay, we have information from smart building coming from Siemens in Czech Republic, and then from connected vehicles in Berlin, from we sharing services, electric vehicle services that BW have in that city. Okay, so basically the CDIM is the evolution of what also already Christian said, the CVIM. Okay, CVIM is Common Vehicle Information Model, and then we jump into a more cross-sectorial way, and we call Common Industrial, okay, data model. So basically we have the data package, and we have a set of measurement. We measure in time series, histogram, geohistogram, basic information, and event base. The format is JSON, and how to collect. Also, you can collect by demand or by subscription. And then later on, I'm going to explain you in detail. Then another key aspect that I would like also to talk about is how this business to business to consumer monetization process. I would like to explain before we enter into detail. Okay, so basically, Agora is governed by a subscription-based mechanism we call as data request for the service provider for those data consumers that request information in the marketplace, and then we have offers. Offer is related to the data owner side, okay? So when we receive offer and we accept this offer and we started the transaction of the data from my CPP, from my vehicle or from my building, for example, okay? So as you can read here, every interested data consumer creates a data request, okay? Which include the parameter, the filters, all the configuration that we would like to do during the data discovery process. Then this data request is published in the data consumer front end, and they can see and they can accept the offer if they are interested also in the offering that they are giving for me. For example, we can introduce here, if you give me your information, I can give you a discount in my digital services, or I can give you a discount in the subscription that you have annually with me. Okay, so this is the offer that we make to data owner, and this is the request that data owner accepts to put in place a contract. This is what we call a contract, and we have the consent from the data owner, from the data provider, and we also obviously have the consent from the service provider to accept the services and try to collect this data. Okay, so this is basically how the marketplace is governed and how this marketplace is dealing with the data monetization process. Okay, so this is in the step flow is summarizing which are the steps that you have to go to deal with, and which are also the stakeholder that should take lead of that. Okay, so basically we create the data request, data owner check available offers and subscribe to them, and then data owner can also accept and reject at any time this offer and can terminate this contract or activate this contract if they are also willing to do that. And then data consumer start collecting, data consumer or service provider start to collecting data from accepted offers that convert into contracts, formal contracts. Okay, so now I am going to jump into the live demo, into what we also call funny part. Okay, let's see if we all go well, and then we are going to jump onto also to the Nestina part on the data analytics part that is also very interesting. Okay, so you can see the front end. Okay, yes, okay, yes, probably yes. Okay, so basically this is the front end of the application that we have developed. So basically we have all the reference to the project and which are what we offer, what our offer and Cross-CPP offer to externals and to those data consumers. Okay, so now we are going to do a data journey. Imagine that I am sorry, I will refresh somehow. Okay, imagine that I am a service provider interested in acquiring data. For example, I don't know, I am a rental manager fleet, or I am a company interested in mobility services in cities or whatever. Imagine any kind of scenario that you can imagine. Okay, so I am going to enter like a service provider. Okay. First of all, I would like to communicate to you that this solution is an instance that we have deployed from the real full prototype. Okay, this is an instance that we have made in order to do the testing and the demonstration purposes to externals and to do demonstrations. Okay, so I don't know probably if I have some Wi-Fi problems. Otherwise, it should be connected right now. This is the live demo issues. Okay, so now you can see here the screen. Okay, as you can see, this is the panel of Agora. As we have told you, this is the front end of the application that we have here. So I'm going to explain very briefly which are each of these boxes in order to give you a more detailed overview of the application. So basically, we have here like a summary of the main section that we can check within the application. We have data requests, we have data transaction, we have the analytics, and we have also data views. There are some functionalities also giving added value to the marketplace. Then we have the marketplace news, where we update all the information if we have changed the catalog, if we have added a new signal, if there are any offer, of if we have any new data owner that has accepted our offer. So this is basically a summary of that. Then we can see like a preview of which information is allocated. Now we have information in Berlin and also in Czech Republic from buildings of CMS. and also some statistics about the different CPP that we have in place in this solution. Okay, so we have some building statistics and also some vehicle statistics. Okay, so and then we can see in the Gantt chart, which are the distribution to each of the channels that we are going to see later on in the catalog of the CDIN. Okay, so now we are going to jump into the catalog of the CDIN. This is what I started to explain before. What is this model and what is the advantages and the added value proposition that brings to data consumer? Because as you might know, if you would like to ingest data from different data providers, it can be a mess because you have to develop different interfaces and different solutions for each of them and try to understand their languages. So we propose this harmonization of the language on when we try to exchange this data to externals and try to speak the same language and try to be on the same floor. Okay. So as you can see, this is the catalog, and we have already 430 signals there from vehicles, as you can see, from vehicles and from buildings as well. Okay, so we can select and we can filter which are the different signals that we have inside of the marketplace. So you can see there are huge of them, and there are many of them that you can check, and you can see that there are different also channels. There are also different units depending on which this provider have declared where they are, how they measure these signals. So this has been like a jointly work within many industrial providers trying to harmonize this work and try to open up this to service providers. And then what we are going to do is, as I say, put the hat of I am a rental fleet manager, or I am a mobility service manager, or I am dealing with scooter, electric vehicles information. I would like to collect data and checking data from in this way from an OEM, from a vehicle OEM, in this case is BDV, and the other from a building manager or infrastructure manager, which can also be CMS. Okay, in this size. Okay, so for example, I can select each of the signals that I can be interested in try to collect data. Okay, so I can do the selections anytime. I can also select by buildings, by any kind of information that I would like to get then. And then we can also, thanks to ATV, they have developed these suggestion context suggestions when they can base it on the signals that I have selected in my discovery panel. I can also add new suggested channels, try to also incorporate into my data request. Okay, so I can get suggestions, or I can click at any time. And I can also filter by the date and duration. For example, imagine that I am doing stational services, for example, only for summer or only for a specific time. I would like to give you my offer for this month, or I would like to have the information from a specific time frame or for a specific day. So basically, you can also here filtering by this date and duration box. Then we also have a geographical. Okay, so you can box your own your own box, sorry, and you can select the country or the region that you are interested in to get information from, and also from that country. For example, I'm interested in getting information from Spain or whatever. So they immediately check you which is the country that you are selecting. Okay, so but for this purposes, we are not going to select anything, and we are going to copy from the map, and we are going to in selection, and we are going to copy from map. Okay, so then I'm going to do the discovery of this information. How many information can I see here? So I can see the statistics. We have a total number of 8 CPP owners. This means can be vehicles. So then we can see divided in how many vehicles we have, how many information from buildings we have, the different information that we have allocated in this in the marketplace in Agora. Okay, so we can see also where it's located. In this case, it's located in Madrid. Okay, so then I can also configure it, because this is something about the GDPR that we have analyzed it also. So also regarding the analytics toolbox that is going to explain my colleague Ernestina is going to play you in detail. We also have to give the consent. Data owners can also give the consent when they accept the offer. in order to do analytics with this information that I collected for you. And also if I would like to filter by context, for example, if I have a daytime only for 8 o'clock to 6 when I leave the office. So I can also select this context that can be also useful for my data-driven services, depending on the context that I have, or if I need a specific context with my services. Okay, so I can configure it or not at any time. So I will put the name and I create these requests. Okay, so I can see the details here, all the details, which is my ID. This is the AION subscription. I really is something related with. We provide also an streaming services, so you can your API can be connected to this AION communication channel, and you can collect information in a streaming mode. Okay, so this is something very useful for this interested service provider, which are interested in consuming data very real near time. Okay, so as we can see for our request, we haven't found any data. Okay, because there are no data owner that has accepted this offer. So this concept has to be very clear. Okay, now I'm going to change my hat. Okay, I am going to log in as a data owner. Okay, as a data owner of owning a vehicle or owning a building. Okay, I will show you right now. So you have to log out. Okay, so now I am logging as a data owner. Okay, I am a CPP owner. Okay, so as we can see here is a different color of the front page because we are different user. So the menu is going to be different. Okay, so as we can see here, we can select every CPP that we have that we are owners of that. For example, for this, we have one car and we have also one building. Okay, here. So we can select and deselect this CPP depending on which information I would like to share on which offer I would like to accept. Okay, so as we can see here, we have in the marketplace new, we have a new, I am logging as a new data owner. Okay, I would like to see which is the offer that live BDV test is offering, okay, or which are requesting in this sense. So they are requesting all these channels, okay, and my vehicle speed, my engine revolution per minute, okay. So I can accept if I am happy with that, and I can accept this offer, okay. So as you can see, your offer has been successfully accepted. So I can see here that I have accepted this offer, and I can terminate my contract at any time. Okay, so this is very important. So if you are interested tomorrow in sharing more data with the service provider or with the data consumer, so you can terminate your contract at any time without any interaction or without any interaction with the data provider or the service provider. You can do by yourself. Okay, so we can keep. So now we can go to the data wallets and we can see, okay, this is the data request, okay, that we have made. So we can see here the data request that we have made, okay, so I explained. So now, given that one CPP, my as vehicle has accepted this offer, and now I can see here directly in my panel the information that I have collected from this CPP owner, okay, from this data owner. So you can see here that we have information in a vehicle histogram in Madrid. Okay, so we can see here all the data packages that we have collected through this offer. Okay, so we can see here in time series, which are the information that has been collected, which is the starting point and which is the end point, and which is the time that has been started and which is the time that has been ended. Okay, so as you can see here, it's the same if we have configured for a building. So I can also go for a building. Okay, so now I would like to accept this offer for a building. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I can also from my building, using my building, I can also accept this offer. Okay, so now that's the offer is accepted. And see, we will see here that information is going to be requested by, we can see in our data wallet, okay, as a service provider. Okay, so then we can also see the transaction that we have made. Okay, so basically we have two contract transactions in place because has been approved by one data owner, which is the vehicle, and the other data owner, which is the building owner. Okay, so we can see here the contract that we have made in place and all the information that we have collected from this data owner. Okay, so this is all the data journey that I would like to show you. This is the live demonstration of the Cross-CPP data marketplace, also known as Agora. So I hope that you have enjoyed this presentation and you have understand all the concept behind and which is the value proposition that we would like to offer to this interested service provider, a data-driven services creators that are willing to collect data from different CPPs and from different sectors, trying to unlock these data-driven services. Okay, so I will leave the floor to Ernestina, and she will also explain in very detail which is the functionality that we are offering with the analytic toolbox. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor. So let me share my screen very quickly.
Yes, I will show you the. Now you can have the.
Let's see. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So well, very quickly, well, not quickly, but just after this journey on the Agora and on the Cross-CPP data market, let's go just for in a piece. We are going to dedicate just the last minutes of this presentation to a part that is very interesting of this data market, that is the CPP analytic toolbox. We can see just in the screen that we have this component that is, as I am saying, one of the innovative pieces of this data marketplace. So how it is composed, and one of the most important parts of this. You are seeing my screen? Still no.
Yes, I can see your screen.
But yeah, okay, because I thought because something has gone, and I cannot see my screen now. Okay, now. So sorry for this. So well, as I am saying, the most important part is that we have this part that is the data analytic toolbox, and in this toolbox, what we have is that we have modules. But one of the most important part of these modules is that we have developed certain options, certain functionalities, but this will be something that we will be able just to put more functionalities on this. So we have two kind of functionalities: the ones that is called the ones that are modules that are for doing analytics in batch mode, the ones that we have here that are dynamical networks, trajectory library, and data mining basic tools. And on the other hand, what we have is just analytics that can be done in a streaming mode. The main difference is that in the batch mode, data will be collected, as we have seen in the presentation by Victor. We will make a data request, we will show you later. And once we have this request with all this data, then we will perform analytics. On the other hand, what we can do is in streaming mode, and in streaming mode is as data are arriving, then the analytics will be performing. So in this case, what we have is just certain basic classifiers and certain other libraries that we will see in a minute. But as I am saying, the most important part of these functionalities is that we have developed these parts in the toolbox, but this is just extendable. So we can just put more libraries in the future, more modules here, and the data marketplace will have more functionalities. This is the interesting part here. Okay, so going a little bit in deep in the streaming data library, what we have is that we have the streaming data time series, and in this time series we have different things. So we have the prediction, so we can just have certain functionalities that given a time series, we can predict what's going to happen with this time series in the future, or we can also just have certain analysis for drift detection, for example, or just to analyze anomalies between different time series. So this is very interesting, for example, when we have different sensors, as we have seen by buildings or by cars, just to analyze how the signals are fluctuating, or just to discover how these signals can be predicted the behavior in the future, just to analyze, for example, how temperature is being just signaled by different sensors of cars that are in the same position, just to predict which is going to be the temperature in a certain point, taking into account the information of the sensors that had been taken, or whatever. Okay, so as we can see, for example, with the drift metric, is if we have different sensors of cars, for example, located in the same location, and then what we can do is just analyzing the different signals. This will come as different time series, and then we can just, for example, identify malfunctioning sensors, because we will see that different with this functionality of the time series, we will just analyze that different time series are behaving in a different way that another time series of sensors corresponding, as I am saying, to, for example, cars or vehicles that are in the same location. Okay, this is very interesting because, for example, imagine that we have someone that wants to perform certain analytics on this data that we have in the data marketplace, but prior to make any analytics, maybe they will get rid of those signals that are going to be noisy signals. So this is a functionality very interesting, I am saying, just to remove this noise. And then once they have made a data request to having all the signals for certain vehicles, then the following thing they will do is just analyzing this data to get rid of all these signals that are wrong ones. And then once you have which are the wrong ones, then you can just perform any other analytics, for example, to predict, but just based on the ones that are proper signals, not the ones that were, for example, malfunctioning sensors. Okay, so going, for example, now for just not going in the streaming mode, but just going to the batch mode, just to analyze other functionalities that we also have developed, we have the trajectory library. In this, what we do for the trajectories library is that we can, for example, analyze trajectories of different sensors once again, and we can interpolate, for example, in the case that some vehicles have entered, for example, a tunnel and the signal is being lost, and then we can interpolate just to have certain measurements of the signal that is being lost. Also, we can just calculate basic statistics on the trajectory, for example, just to analyze the minimum, the average velocity, the minimum, the maximum, and so on and so forth. And then we can cluster trajectories. And this is also very interesting just to see and to be able to find clusters, for example, of vehicles that are doing similar trajectories. And then we also have the functionalities to be able to detect these uncommon patterns in the data. So we have these functionalities that is the anomalies detection. Okay, so for example, in the trajectory library, we have this that is, well, mainly for the trajectories is being focused on GPS data, and then we can just, for example, find similar trajectories that are grouped together. This is, for example, with the clustering. Okay, and then what we can do is that we do a data request. Then after we have the data request accepted in the data market, then we perform the clustering of trajectories, and after the cluster has been done, then we can just we can just focus on certain cluster and analyze this cluster further to find, for example, behavior of certain sensors or just temperature in certain parts of the trajectories, so on and so forth. So this is one, for example, one possibility in the marketplace and how this can be performed. We could see this has been extracted. It's just a screenshot from the marketplace that Victor was showing to you, and then we can just find, for example, this in the trajectories, just to find, for example, these groupings of trajectories that are similar. Also, just for example, to find in trajectories, just finding these anomalous coordinates, just because maybe a sensor was wrong, or just maybe it's not a wrong, but imagine because we have different information in a road that has problems with the orography of the field and so on and so forth, then we could find all these anomalous coordinates, and we can do this by analyzing the data that we have from the signals in the data marketplace. So, for example, in the interpolation, we can also have just, well, the trajectory and then the interpolated trajectory, finding, as we were saying, those points that were lost and that we can find thanks to all these functionalities that has been already done in the marketplace. Also, we have a module that is for dynamical networks. I mean, because then we have the data mining basic tools that we are not going to go in through them because they are the typical clustering, classification methods, association, and so on. Or, for example, the basic classifiers in streaming. So it is the same classifiers and so on. But we are going to go into the dynamical networks. And in this one, we are just going to analyze, well, because this is just what the functionalities that we are going to be able to have here is, first of all, we can create the network. So this is the first functionality that we have in the data marketplace, that just given certain data requests, we can create a network. Then we can update the network, and then we can have metrics on the network. Okay, so this is very interesting just to find this network of vehicles, for example. Just we can see how, because this is on streaming mode, so just to see how this network is being updated, and then we can calculate the metrics on the network. So, for example, imagine that we have different vehicles that are of different colors, yellow, green, black, and maybe it can happen that what we find just by analyzing, we can just make the networks and just finding by the sensors and just by this functionality that, for example, the black cars are getting just higher values of temperature in the sensors in the same car, in the same brand, but just because of the color. So this is one possibility, and just finding these separated groups of sensors, of cars, of vehicles that are behaving differently. This is one possibility. This is very obvious one, and of course this is something everyone would know, but the thing is that by this functionality of complex networks, we will be able to find first of all, to define the network, and then just to find all these similarities, and then we can go and analyze with basic classification or clustering mode, just all this part of the network that we find that is similar, and just finding behaviors on these parts that has been discovered that has some relationship. Okay, so as we can see, this is just another example that well, it helps us by the complex network just to find all those well, groups that are behaving differently, that they have weird occurrences of assignments, so on and so forth. So what we have now is just in the platform how this is behaving, and now what we have is that well, this is in green as we were seeing in the presentation of Victor, and then once we are in the data marketplace, what the person that just entered just to have certain analytics, what they have to do. So the first thing that they have to do is making a data request. Because if someone wants to make analytics, the first thing that you have to do is just analyzing all these sources of data that we were seeing in Agora that you have available. Then what you have to see is just analyzing which are the sources, and then make a data request just to see if the data provider gives you access or not to this data. So we can do this selection, and then we can put filters. For example, when we have this for the data request, we can go there, and then we can imagine we have just find information that we want to analyze on vehicles, and we want to analyze the vehicle speed, and then we can find filters that can go, for example, in the date and duration of these signals. When we want to start having the information in the starting point and until when. Okay. And once we have that, the following things that we have is that once we have the data request accepted, that we were seeing by Victor how then the data provider will accept or not, but let's imagine that they accept our request, and then what we have to do is just to choose in all the toolbox all these functionalities that we can have. So imagine that we are in the time series, we can find any of the ARIMA models, we can find the entropy, we can find just correlations, we can find all the functionalities that are already there, for example, and then we will analyze all these, and then once we choose the analytics, then we can go and just see which are the things that we can just, for example, in this case, that we have just analyzed permutation entropy. Okay, and once we have this, we follow, and the analytics will be performed, and then what we can see is just go, because our analytics will be now in the marketplace, and we can see and visualize the results of the analytics in the analytics view. Okay, and then, well, the thing is, the difference between batch mode or streaming mode is that if it is a streaming mode, then we will have a channel in which we are going to receive just the information regarding the analysis in a continuous way as data are being generated. So we'll have this URL as we can see there at the end of the page, that we have this URL that regards just the subscription channel, in which we will be getting all the information from for our analytics in the streaming mode. So well, this was a little bit quickly, but we wanted also just to have some part of the just questions and just to know your information. And well, thank you for your attention. And I think that now we can go to questions. Victor?
Thank you, Nathina. Thank you for the presentation. I think you really have a good overview of which is the data analytic toolbox that we would like to offer to also to data consumer service provider interested in developing these services, or try to find insights for their services. So now it's time for QA, okay, question and answers. So as Thomas said, we have been collected through the chat, but I haven't seen any questions. So we have, I think, 5-10 minutes to, if someone would like to take the role of asking something to us, to Christian, to Ernestina, or myself, please, it's the time to do.
Victor, I see one question in the chat, if I may.
Okay.
It's from Richard Stevens, and he's asking if you can provide a little bit more of detail of the common industrial data model you are describing. He's asking precisely if it is based on some standards.
Okay. So thank you for that. So this common industrial data model has been developed within Automat and within Cross-CPP. So we are not really, as far as I know, we are not following a standard, already a standard developing in the industry. So what we try to do is like harmonize, not standardize. Or we are also in the way of trying to get to some standardization bodies through some tasks within the project that is leading by TOC, the open group. Okay, so basically they are leading these standardization efforts and try to communicate and try to also explain to other standardization bodies which are the benefits of this CDIM model. But basically also what we have done in Automat is to release a public open specification open to anybody. So also we are going to do the same with the CIM. So in the following months, what we are going to do is to publish the open CDN specification. So you can check there all the structure that we have developed and all the information that we include within this model. Okay, how data packages are measured, how you can send information to the cloud storage, all this kind of stuff that is needed to connect to Agora and data platform. But if you would like to have more details on the CDM model, please contact us at any time, so we can give also from the technical side and from the technical people leading this CDN development, they can give you more insight about it. Thank you.
If I may, I have another question. This in my case, because I'm working on another project and IC market. I know that you are also working with Agora in IC market.
Yes.
And this is a data platform, or is one project related to data platform. So I wonder what are the relation between Cross-CPP and I3 market, and what are the challenges that you are covering in both projects, comparing to the two projects?
Yes, so thank you for the question, Thomas. So basically, I3 market is a very challenging project, because we would like also, given that we connect also to data provider, but we know that there are some data providers that has been confident in using some data platform or the data platform that are in the markets. Okay, so what we would like to do is how to deploy or how to connect these other data platforms. For example, if I am used to use data Agora platform, so how I can get information from another provider. Okay, so this is also a story that I would like also to research also and to work for, and try to how to connect to other marketplaces, and also address this challenging on how to trade off data from different data platforms in a secure and privacy preserved way. So this is, I think, this is a very important topic and hot topic within I3 market, and I think we will try to overcome this challenge and try to open up these data marketplaces to all the other providers that are in the market. So I think this could be a very good point, and I think we will stress our work, and then the work that we will do in Cross-CPP, we will extend in each market, trying to achieve this milestone, and to connect to other marketplaces and plugging in an easy way. So this is my view on how to connect to other marketplaces, how to open up to the community.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think there's no more questions in the chat, or nobody asking anything else as far as I see. Yeah, there is another one, sorry.
I cannot see the question.
Yeah, well, I can read it.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay, perfect.
The question is from Ricardo Vitorino. He's asking how are you in fact monetizing the data? There are more questions like how many customers do you have, or how do your the data providers also receive any money? So it's more about monetization.
Yes. Okay. So as you may know, we are in an innovation project. We are A2T project, so this is a closed environment. Okay. Even our idea of Atos is going to sell the solution outside. Okay. After the project, we have already MVP in place. So our idea is try to sell the solution in the markets in the following years. So what we will try to do is go for these instruments that the European Commission put in order to develop pilots, in order to develop proof of concepts with other customers interested. Okay, for example, there are ADA or the AET, for example, AET calls that we would like to go ahead and try to get these real customers and try to deploy the solution for interested customers. So as you might know, this is also a question from the business side, that we have a two-side marketplace configuration. So we also have to stimulate the demand, but we also have to stimulate the data provider side, because this is a chicken and a problem. If we don't have data, then we are not going to have any interested service provider. So we are measuring this effort and try to balance and try to also give the importance to data provider, but also give the needed importance to service provider, okay, because they are going to consume. So basically, the data providers, we are been working with them, and the way to monetize is that they are going to put. This is something that we are further developing. Okay, this is more likely in the contract side, okay, of the solution, more in the accounting on how to monetize finally the solution, how you are going to pay. Okay, this is basically the question: how you are going to pay and how you are going to pay for this. Okay, for putting your data. So basically, what we are going to is we are going to set up a contract, or we are going to set an accounting section where you can put price to your data. Okay, so you can have a box where you can set up which is the price for this data, and then also this can be also accepted or not by the service provider. Okay, depends on if you are interested in paying for that or not. So there are many questions there on how to monetize on the business side. So we also have been facing within the project, but I think this is one of the parts that we would like to stress in the future: how to account in this, how to make these real transactions in place. Okay, but as you might know, we are in the innovation. We are running much as fast as possible, trying to deliver all these features. And I think in the near future we are going to include this, and we are going to evolve the current solution into a more commercial-oriented solution now, where you can already put contracts in place, and you can exchange, and you can pay for that data, and you can be paid for also for that. Hope this can clarify something your question.
Thank you, Victor. I think now there's no more questions on the chat, so I don't know, you would like to wrap up the session. I need just 1 minute to say where people can find the slides and so on, but you can summarize on how the session, if you like.
Yes, so just one final remark. We would like also to test this application that I have already show you in the screen. We would like we have collaborated with Reach Out project. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to release an open UI, UX, user interface and user experience test. So we would like to get beta testing campaigns in place. So please, if you are interested in being a beta tester of the solution on the front end and the user experience and user interface of the solution, please let us know, and we also going to spread within our communication channels in Twitter, in the website of Cross-CPP. But please stay tuned to this and try to get on board and try to engage to be a beta tester of Cross-CPP Agora platform. Okay, so I hope that you can also find interest in this if you would like to enroll more and you would like to hear more from Cross-CPP project. Okay, so as a final word, thank you very much for those who are been connecting and has been looking us during 1 hour. So I think I find very interesting the questions and the comments that they have been made by the audience. So we will take care about that, about the CDIM and how to monetize and how to explain better to externals. I hope that you find interesting, as Thomas said, he's going to explain you where you can find all the files and resources, even the presentation and the 2 slides that I have forgot to share the screen. And you can see also the presentation that we have being made by Christian, Stina, and myself. Okay, so thank you very much. And if you would like to contact me, so please write us an email or contact me through the website of Cross-CPP, and we will very also thank you if you would like to hear from us. So thank you very much, and I will leave the floor to Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor, and Restina and Christian, for your very good presentations. I think it has been very interesting. Just for the audience, just for you to know that you will receive an automatic email from the tool tomorrow, and where you will find the URL where you can have access to the video of this webinar, and also to the slides. So you don't have to write it down now. In any case, I also copied this URL in the chat, so you have it there. But yes, basically this is part of the BDV webinar series. So you will find this and all other webinars, recordings and slides at this website, and also in the BDVA YouTube and SlideShare channels. So if you would like to see more of our webinars, you just have to go to this web page and just check what are the ones that are coming in the next weeks. And normally we have like 1 per week in this time, and sometimes even more. So stay tuned, and if you're interested, just register to the webinars. And again, thank you very much to our speakers today and to all the audience for being here more than 1 hour. At the end, it was a bit longer, but I think it was very interesting. So thank you very much to all, and yeah, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, thank you.